This podcast is for entertainment and storytelling purposes only and is not a substitute for professional advice. Some topics may be sensitive. Please listen with care and seek support if needed. Welcome back to the Because She's Adopted podcast. I'm your host, Kristal Parke. If you're new here, this is the podcast where we blame everything on being adopted. Just kidding. Today I have a wonderful set of guests with me. Louise Browne and Bill. Are you Bill Browne?
I am Bill Edwards.
He's Bill Browne.
Louise often gets mail now that goes to Louise Edwards, which is kind of funny. She's always been Louise Browne to me.
Can I call you Bill Browne from now on, or
what? Sure. That would be a first, but yes, you can.
Welcome, you two. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We love you, Kristal.
Nice to be here, Kristal.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Okay, so when this episode gets released, it is going to be Christmas Day for everybody. So December 25th, the very last episode of 2025. So I'm going to start off by saying, what is your favorite Christmas tradition?
You're first.
My family is definitely into the Christmas traditions, including stockings, which go back many, many years. Louise now has her own stocking in our household. So even Gracie, our dog, has a stocking. So that's a big tradition, is that if we get a new family member, my mom must make stockings for them. And that includes pets and girlfriends and now wives and all that. So I would say stockings, which come, growing up as a kid, we would have Christmas at my grandparents in Kansas, and so the same stockings that I've had the same stocking my whole life, right? And so that's a tradition that goes back many, many years, which is still alive. So we'll be doing that again this year.
Do the same items go into the stockings every year?
It's very traditional. Yes, there's always an orange at the bottom of it for some weird reason. It goes like way back to when an orange was
Does anyone eat those?
a luxury
Nobody
item. But then, candy canes, which is funny because we don't eat those either. But then it's a lot of practical small knickknacks. Like I get little carpentry tools. And Louise gets like a little, skincare product.
What about you, Louise?
All right, well, that is an Edwards tradition. I'm trying to think of Christmas traditions. We had so many. So both my adopted parents are gone. So in our family, I think mostly it was a Christmas Eve thing, like the big Christmas Eve. We always exchanged one thing on Christmas Eve. We used to go to Mass on Christmas Eve when I was growing up. But even in the tradition raising my son, we always did one present on Christmas Eve, kind of the big dinner on Christmas Eve. And it was more about that and saying what we cared about each other and all that kind of thing than really the opening of everything on Christmas Day. So we've kind of merged that because Bill and I do our own Christmas Eve thing together now. So,
Aww.
Yeah. So, and contrary to popular belief, we are married and he is a Brown now. So,
Keep that in mind.
All right. Well, for those of you who do not know who Louise Browne is, she is one of the hosts of Adoption, the Making of Me podcast. Yeah. And this is one of two podcasts that were my very, very first entry into adoptee land. I mean, I listened to you in my car for many, many years. And Sarah, of course, your co-host, Sarah Reinhardt. So if you've never heard, please go over to Adoption, the Making of Me podcast and listen. One of the things I love most about your podcast, Louise, is that you follow a book.
Yes.
And you get to read through.
Yes. We're reading right now. We're reading Unspoken right here. Here we go. Unspoken by Liz Harvey. And so that we came up with that. So Sarah Reinhardt is my other spouse. My work wife. Yeah, my work wife. We actually had a vintage ice cream truck together, a gourmet food truck in Los Angeles, and now we have the podcast, and we're almost about to be in our 5th year, and we're almost done with our 11th season. So it's kind of crazy. It's just crazy. But I know the other podcast that you love was Adoptees On with Haley.
Yes.
Yep. So
yes.
And we had you on our podcast. So if you're listening, please go back and listen to Kristal on our podcast. Although your story's probably changed a lot.
I feel like it kind of has. It was the first podcast I was ever a guest on.
Right.
And I remember feeling like I botched that interview so bad. Did I ever tell you this?
It's how I'm botching this one.
As if.
We never get interviewed. It's a different role. Yeah. No, you never told us that.
I never told you guys that? Okay, so I finished with that podcast. I thought I did such a bad job that I went home. I went into a full shame spiral. I crawled into my bed. I remember ordering like candy from 7-Eleven and just laying there the rest of the day feeling like the biggest loser ever.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was wonderful.
Well, and I think and then it went out, and I think I listened to it with my family members in the car, and I was like, oh my gosh, that was like, why did I even waste a day like that
Right?
being so upset?
I
So
know why. It could be because you're adopted.
I think it is.
There's a documentary with that name, by the way.
There is, yes. Okay, so I want to do a really quick, like, rapid fire questions for the two of you. Which one of you is adopted?
Raise your hand.
Raise your hand. That would be me. And Gracie, my dog.
How many years have you been together?
Well, I knew Louise in high school. So I knew her in 1984 to 1986, which was 10th through 12th grade at Littleton High. And then we didn't see each other for 25 years. She went off to Pepperdine. I stayed home, went to University of Colorado. And this was before cell phones and internet.
Scope-ups.
Like, you would just lose people, right? Mm-hmm. You know? And so we reconnected through Facebook in 2011. So we had our first date on Memorial Day of 2011, got married Memorial Day of 2018. So we've been together as a couple for 14 and a half years.
Wow.
I guess that is.
Almost 15.
But I've known her most of my life.
Yeah.
Oh, did you know back in high school that Louise was
I
adopted?
had a huge crush on her in high school. Huge.
We did not know.
She dated a friend of mine all through high school, so she was unavailable, and I had zero girl skills.
Shout out,
anyway.
Dave.
So even if she was single, I was not about to ask her out.
What was your first impression of Louise?
She was like super cool. You know, she hung out with the guys. You know, she was kind of a tomboy, athletic. You know, she was a swimmer, soccer player. Just really, you know, she had that kind of, you know, blonde poster girl look, you know, the Christy Brinkley look. She's just blonde and athletic, but also like cool, you know. And so I kind of ogled her from a distance.
When I see pictures of you, Louise, as a teen, you look like the models from like the USA. Like, because being Canadian, models didn't quite look the same as the American models.
I'm like, let's move on. Because inside I didn't feel any, I felt like nobody notices me. But thanks.
Yes. Okay. Well, and Louise, what was your first impression of Bill?
Oh, I know my first impression of Bill. I actually knew who Bill was for a lot longer than we hung out. We hung out in a group of guys. My best guy friends, Tony and Scott, were his best buddies, like two of his best buddies. And I think the first time he made a huge impression on me was, well, two things. We parked next to each other at the back fence of our high school. So we parked, it would be like my boyfriend, my car, and Bill. We all had kind of, we earned our cars. They weren't great in 1986, okay? And I get out of the car and go, hi, Bill. And then he would never say hi. He'd go, hey. And he was known to be really smart, like the cool, fringy, smart dude that threw these great parties and I didn't get invited to. And I'm like, I'm smart. That's what I'm thinking. He doesn't think I'm smart. So then we were at a senior camp out, which what parents would let you do this now, but we used to go away and go to these senior camp outs 3-4 days up in the woods, a whole bunch of teenagers and 18 drinking age in Colorado, just crazyville, right? Like getting Jeeps stuck in the river and this kind of thing. And I remember standing around the campfire with him at do you remember this? 4 a.m. and trying to chat with him, but he was very aloof. And the whole time I'm like, what's up with that? Why is he so aloof? So that's my first impression.
Aloof.
Shy, right?
Yeah, shy. And he's not aloof now. Like you
You
would
can
never.
be aloof, actually. You can be a
I
little
can
aloof.
be introverted.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
We both can be, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're both introverts. I act extroverted, but
Introverts with people skills,
Yeah.
right?
I am
I-
also an introvert.
I can see that.
Yeah.
We spend hours we're fine like being locked down at COVID, not seeing people.
Yeah.
I have anxiety about it actually. So that's
Yeah.
the stuff he deals with me is more fun than you care to know.
Well, maybe we'll get into it a little bit. Maybe. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to ask you a few more things. So, from social media, it seems like you both are big Grateful Dead fans. And were you both Deadheads prior to getting together, or did one of you convert the other to deadheadedness?
I'm the original Deadhead.
Okay.
I discovered the band in high school, and it was like a key that unlocked like everything in life. It was literally that profound, like a religious experience almost. And still to this day, I still consider Deadheads, my tribe. They are, if I see a car with a Dead sticker on it, I know right away I share so much with them. Not only the music I like, but likely, politics, philosophy, just life vision. And so it became my thing. And so I've been seeing Grateful Dead shows since 1987. And so I've seen about 100 shows over the years.
More than that now.
But that's only a few per year if you average it out, right? Some years more than others. But, it's my thing. It's my tribe, my people. It's like
I have a thing that ties into that because I actually listened to the Dead in high school with my brother's friends. I have a couple of my brother's friends who are kind of well known in our high school who are big Deadheads and had a mural that they painted and stuff. So I tried to really get into them, and I knew them. I liked them. And then when Bill and I got together, I was like, oh, that's rekindling for me. We have seen tons of shows together with Dead and Company, like tons and tons. We were at the Sphere. Was it last year when you said this? I think last year at the Sphere at one of the shows. And he literally turned to me and said, oh my God, because we were talking about being here. He's at home and with his people. And then he looked at me and goes, I get your adoptee thing more now. Which was such a I don't know, it was a weird moment where he's because he doesn't like to actually talk about the Dead. It's funny he's talking about it here. He really doesn't like if I bring it up with a lot of people.
it's just hard to explain, right?
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Like being adopted.
Right.
It's hard to explain, so I don't willingly bring it up, but I'm happy to talk about it. But it's just it can be
and
more
people
effort
have judgment.
it can
about
be more effort to explain than it's worth. If I'm just chit-chatting at a party, it's like, hey, I'm a Deadhead, whatever. It's not really the way I
And
introduce
he gets
myself.
a little bit weird about it, and all of a sudden he really looked at me. He's like, we were having this moment. I think Eyes of the World was on. I don't even know what was happening. And he's like, hey, I get it. It's a thing. Because I get very protective over the adoptee community and adoptees. And so it was kind of interesting. We had a crossover. I wrote a thing about it.
I remember that. I think, yeah. And I don't know if I ever told you this, but when I first attended my very first adoptee event, which was an Adoption the Making of Me event, the one in Atascadero,
Where we live.
where you live, I didn't want it to.
Right.
I didn't want to love it as much as I did. I don't know why. First of all, I thought I was going to be rejected. I thought people, weren't going to like me, and they were just going to shun me from the adoptee community, which is ridiculous. But I didn't want to love it as much as I did, and then I went to the second event, which was in DC, and I think I kind of allowed myself to love it and experience it the way it's meant to be experienced, and it was just, there's no other experience like it. It's really difficult to explain, and it's so good for my soul.
Yes.
Yeah, it's because they're your tribe, right?
Yeah.
They're your people, right?
It's
That you
coming
share
home.
something deep in common with.
Coming
Yeah.
home.
Yeah. Okay, I love that. Okay, so what if I were to listen to a Deadhead song, what would be the one song?
Well, the song that is the most profound and influential in my life, that really was the one that, like I say, kind of was like a key went into my soul and unlocked something within me, is called Eyes of the World. And you could listen to the studio version, which is great, but the Dead are famous more, for their live versions. And you can find various versions, on
You
Spotify
could send her one.
or whatever. Yeah, or I'll send you something.
Yeah.
But it's the studio version's only 5 minutes long or whatever. But if they play it live, it's often 20 minutes long.
Wow.
So it depends on, but you can. It's just really an amazing song. It's very profound in its words, and the music is beautiful, and it's still to this day, my favorite piece of music.
I think she would like, if you're going to give her a starter, Ripple.
Oh, Ripple's good.
Yeah, Ripple. We'll send you one.
Ripple's good. Ripple's another
Just
profound.
if you're giving her a
tune.
starter.
Yeah, maybe I'll make you a little mixtape or something.
Oh, okay.
You know who else is into them? Pamela Sandra. Let's just give her a shout out. There you go.
Okay. Well, I feel like we kind of need to get into it. This will be the last question. What is something surprising about you that most people don't know? This is for each of you.
Oh.
This is a hard one.
Oh, that's hard. Okay, something surprising. You go first.
I think you already covered it with the Grateful Dead thing.
I think so too.
I think people do know that. I think something surprising about Bill that people don't know is that he's super into like math and planetary stuff and science and reading. Like he's really, I'd say, nerdy in that way, but in a good way. It's like that's a compliment to everybody out there that's like that. Like he gets me thinking, like he'll come in and tell me about an article and then go to the next level, and he's read about and he's thought about, and I think you wouldn't know that about Bill. He doesn't go around. He's not a bragger. He's very humble, but he's like the smartest person I know.
Aw.
It's true.
That's so sweet.
It's true. Yeah.
I appreciate that intellect. I really do. What about you, Louise? What do you think? Maybe Bill can answer this for you.
It's something that people don't know about Louise.
Yeah, or would be surprising.
I think the surprising thing about Louise is that she is fairly introverted, because she has this persona of being very extroverted and being very good socially, and she's got this network of people that follow her and all these things. And at a party or something, she's very she's the life of the party and this and that.
Uh-oh.
But really, she's very introverted, which is interesting. It's kind of a dichotomy. Because like all introverts, we expend energy through social interactions, right? Versus extroverts who gain energy through social interactions. But we both, like after a party or something social, all we want to do is go home and sit on the couch and maybe not even talk to each other because we just are drained socially. And so I think that's something that is surprising when Louise tells people that, or they find that out about her. Is they're like, no way, you're not an introvert. People equate introvertedness with shyness or social awkwardness, and that's not really the case. So yeah, Louise is an introvert. I'm more of an outward introvert. Like I'm more like, outwardly introverted, if that makes sense.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really relate to you in that, Louise, and I think wherever you go, when you go into these social situations, you give your all, right? You're very present, and you give your all, and you give people the attention and the care, and treat them with the care and the love, because that's just kind of who you are. And so I feel like sometimes that it sort of that requires a lot, and you expel a lot of energy. And do you find podcasting?
You're talking from experience, I can tell. I find podcasting, it's interesting. I find it pretty easy because, first of all, I'm very comfortable with Sarah. So we sit across from each other. It's like looking at you right now. I'm very comfortable with you. I forget that like hundreds of people, maybe thousands, will listen to this later. So that kind of makes me go, But podcasting is not hard. It's the live events or any kind of party. I mean, Bill was with me when I had a major and it's been like this my whole life. And I kind of do equate it back to being adopted. I have a very that it's introverted, but I also have a very high sense of like people, like what's happening around me, and so he was with me once. I think it was Sarah and I having a birthday party, and I literally had a massive panic attack because there was going to be a lot of people there. It wasn't small. I was sobbing all day. I didn't want to go. I have this, so I have to. Like if I'm going to a live event, I'm really in my head. I have to do a lot of yoga, a lot of meditation, a lot of thinking it through. I get really quiet and almost like weird beforehand. Like I can't talk to anybody. I just sit there. Like I gotta sit here for a second, and then I'm okay. Because especially in the adoptee community, I'm really okay.
Yeah.
But if I had to go up in front of like other people, phew, that'd be really hard.
What does Bill do that helps you to feel better in those kinds of situations? Because I
Yeah.
like you're speaking my language. Like
Yeah.
I have sabotaged events because
Me
I
too. Me too. I've sabotaged big events, things. Bill is very calm, always. I think he's like my calm. When we first started dating, I remember telling friends, he's my calm. My nervous system's calmer around him. He has a certain voice that's very calming. He'll kind of be like quiet for a while. Like I'll be going through something. I can't go. We go through this almost every weekend. I don't want to go. I don't want to go see people. I don't want to go to this. He's like, you're going to go and you're going to have a really good time. Just put your coat on and go. No big deal. You can always come home. He does the whole. We go through this a lot. Do we go through this a lot?
Yeah. I've always been like a rationalizer of emotions, right? So I'll say things like, it is what you make of it, right? So little words of wisdom, I guess, is the way that I try to influence emotions. I'm like I say, a rationalizer of emotions. And so there are words of wisdom that I think some resonate more than others with Louise.
Yeah.
But it is what you make of it that was kind of one of my go-to things, and just reminding her, like, you're always nervous before a social event and you always have a good time. You always come home saying, oh my God, I had a great time. Like, try to keep that in mind, right? So without fail, that's the kind of cycle that we go through.
I appreciate both of you sharing that with us and the listeners, because I doubt that there aren't people out there that will be able to relate to this in a big way, I think too, having somebody that's giving you perspective of like, this time, like Stuart, for instance, he'll say this time of the year is always really hard for you. December hits and it's really, really challenging. And, we seem to go through it every single year. And I don't know if it's because the sun goes down earlier. There's no sunlight here in the winter time. All of the things, all of the reasons, the stress, the season, everything, right? And it's nice to feel seen.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a hard. It's hard. Like we were listening to. It's funny because bringing it back to the adoptee thing, but I was listening to a Paul Sunderland. For those who don't know, Paul Sunderland, he's not adopted, but he's a trauma therapist who's incredible, who understands adopted people, and tells it very bluntly what it's like. And he said, I was listening to something on our front porch like a month ago, and Bill was just getting home from work. He pulls up and I'm like, oh my God, I know why we're together. He's like, okay, let me get in the house. But it was this whole, he literally was saying it's very hard to be with an adopted person long term. Like they don't hold relationships, as we know in this community. They don't hold relationships long term, or it's very hard for them to have long term. There are many people with successful long term relationships, but it's not the norm. And he said it's something we can't change or help. It's just part of, because it's pre-verbal trauma. And he made a thing about, if someone's married to an adoptee, they have to be really well adjusted and, this certain. And Phil gets home. I'm like, oh my God, it's you. You're the reason. He's like, okay, great. But it's funny, but it's true. I mean.
It's true. Would you say that? And that was one of my questions, Bill. Do you think that it's a unique experience to be married to an adopted person?
Oh, I would say so. I didn't know anything about the adoptee experience until really their podcast started. We talked about it a little bit, but I didn't know why Louise acted the way she did in certain situations, right? And so when the podcast started and she really started spilling her guts on the internet, which I found fascinating that she would be brave enough to do that, I'm like, oh my God, that's why this and that's why that. And I've been illuminated for sure. So, but I think once you understand the reasons behind, certain things, then you can make sense of it. Especially as a rationalizer like me, I could be like, oh, A leads to B and B leads to C, and now I understand why she does these things, right? And so yeah, the podcast has been a big help for me in understanding Louise. So, but it is
Yeah.
probably a fairly unique set of circumstances. I know a lot of her listeners will say, I spent my whole life not understanding why I am a certain way, and then all of a sudden I listen to your podcast. Now I get it. Like, that's a pretty deep level of first of all, not understanding yourself, and then illumination. So I'd say the adoptee experience is fairly unique, and also, yeah, being married to an adoptee also has its own unique set of challenges.
Well, and good on you, Bill, for your willingness to be open to learning and understanding Louise, because I think, as adoptees, we spend a lot of our lives, people just kind of saying, well, what are you so upset about, right? Like, or you don't even know yourself what you're so torn up about.
Yeah.
And then to be with a partner who perpetuates that message and continues to invalidate, that would be really hard to be stayed married to.
Yeah.
Right. I want to say, listeners, partners that aren't adopted, to maybe listen to a podcast, read a book, just have an openness to understand what the experience is, because you'll be able to be a better partner.
My dream is that everybody would open like American Baby, or you don't look adopted, whatever the book is. The one we're reading now, Unspoken. In fact, a validating experience for me recently was after we returned from Washington, D.C., when we saw your documentary. Again, I've seen it before. And had Bill and his mom watch it. She was visiting us. And, they're kind of going along with me. Okay, Bill loves you, he's met you, but my mother-in-law knows nothing about this. And they both really watch, and I'm looking at them through it. Are they getting it? You want them to get it. It's like
Yeah.
and they did. They both told me. I mean, your mom got teared up, and she's kind of like Bill. She doesn't do that often. And she said, "Thank you for showing that to me. That was so important, and I really learned a lot." And she wrote me a note about it, and it really was like, oh, if I could have every experience with everybody in my life, because that something about the film. Your film's so good, but having people see it that aren't adopted, that are close to you. Because if you're not adopted, you're not going to get what it's like to be adopted. You're just not.
Yeah.
You can't get unadopted, and you also can't become adopted. So it's like, it's a truth. But at least you can understand and go, okay, that's why you're so interested in, like Bill knows his cousins and his family. Of course, we have ours that we grew up with that we know. And he doesn't think twice, like, oh, I don't need to call he doesn't think about his family in that way. And I'm like, any little thing for me, I dig in and find. He doesn't get it. And he's starting to get it, like, oh, yeah, it would be weird. I just know who I am, right?
Yeah. Well, recently you had a
Yes.
connection. Do you want to share a little bit
Um,
about that?
yeah.
And I'm kind of curious what your perception of the experience was, Bill.
So I found, for those that don't know me, probably most people on here don't know me. My biological mom, Linda, I call her my first mother. She passed away when I was a little girl, and in 1977 in a tragic accident. She was 27 years old. So, but I know all my biological relatives on her side. They found me when I was 32, and I've become very close to them. My cousins, my aunts, and so I know that part of my family. I don't know my mother, but I feel like I know my mother through writing, and I have all these letters just right here next to me, and through the family, through so much. I've been really blessed in that way, because they really love me. I feel that they love me, and they have taken me in, and so many adoptees do not have that. So many don't have that, right? On my father's side, I'm from a great big family. He's the oldest of 7 sons, okay? And there's many kids, grandparents, and I've known who they are since I was 32, and I'm 57 now. Because obviously my biological mom's family knew who they were. So and with the internet, you can find anything. So I've known who my father was since at least 25 years, 24 years. And we did have, I finally just, I don't know what, I got a wild hair 3 years ago and wrote him some letters. And then he wrote me back, and then he called me one night. We actually had, Bill was with me in the truck. We were coming back from a Grateful Dead concert. And we were talking to him. It was like so weird that he even called me, and we never spoke again, but we wrote, and then he didn't want to write anymore. And so I didn't hear from him for the last 3 years. And I was in Colorado. I knew where he lived, and I knew that he's been ill. And how I know that's a very long, convoluted story through multiple people that know each other. And so, and part of the reason I think he didn't stay in touch with me is because he is ill, and I think he has a lot going on. But my cousin and I, my biological cousin, and my other cousin's husband and their daughter got in the car with me, and we went, and I did the thing I tell adoptees never to do. It was a cold call. We literally knocked on his door, and I didn't knock on the door. I gave him the grace of having someone else go to the door, my cousin's husband, who's wonderful. If anybody was going to come to your door, it'd be him. He's like a wonderful man named Brent. And Brent went to the door and got my father to want to see me and talk to me, and just because he said I am sick and not doing well, and he said, well, she's right here. And then we met, and so I went to the door and met him, and it was profound. It was 15 minutes, but it was life-changing. I don't know how else to say it. It makes me emotional right now, but I won't see him again, which is sad. I know I won't. I don't think he can. He can't make his worlds come together. I have sisters. I have 2 half sisters and a lot of cousins and uncles. And I think he just can't, he has a lot of shame that goes with my biological mother. They were high school sweethearts at one time, and he didn't really check back in with her. And he was pregnant with my half sister, already having that baby and getting married to somebody else, her mother. So I think he just can't have that relationship, but it was okay. It sounds so weird, but it's like, I'm not mad about that. I'm not even mad at him. I just was so excited to meet him and to see him. It was crazy because I've my adopted parents have both deceased. And so I have one living parent out there, and I was like, I have to meet him. This is kind of it. I kind of knew this would be the only time. I don't get to that area of the world very often. And so to make a long story short, or long.
Well, you sent me over some videos.
Yes, thank you. You made a little movie.
Well, I mean, I that making that for you was, I clipped together some shots of the experience, but that experience was it was very touching. It was for anybody that got to watch your videos. Yeah. It was so touching. You were so gracious and peaceful.
Thank you.
And, you said before you went up that your son had said to you, you don't have to know him, but you want to, or you don't need him.
Yeah.
But remind me again.
Yeah, my son Jack, who's 27, he was like, Mom, you're so brave. Like, you're doing this. And it's his grandfather. But it's that weird thing where my dad I was raised with is kind of my person, and definitely my son's person. Like, he loved my dad, right? They were super tight. And so you have a little bit of that kind of like, well, we don't know this guy, but it's still your grandfather. So he was like, Mom, you're so brave doing this, and you don't need him in your life. That was the line. You don't need him. You just want to know him, and you have the right to know him. And let me know how he is, because that's my grandfather, He's like, but you don't need him. You're going to, if you leave there and you already have no. Like Jack Canfield, that's a guy that Jack, my son, and I like, is a guy named Jack Canfield. And he already says, you already have no. What if you get yes? What if you get maybe, right? So you're already living with the no. For 57 years, I've lived with the no, right? So it was crazy. It was interesting.
So Bill, tell me what that was like for you. First of all, when Louise connected with her father, but then when he cut off connection, to sort of see her go through all of that. What was that like for you?
Yeah. Well, her seeing her father was unexpected. It wasn't a planned thing. Yeah. It's just that, she kind of hatched the idea when you were there, right?
Yeah, with my cousin.
With her cousins. And I have met, so the year before I went to her family reunion and met 32 of her family, her actual genetic family members. And that was an amazing experience because...
On my mother's side.
Yeah, her mother's family, right? Her mother's side. And because her father's side are still kind of deniers about the whole thing. And
Or don't know.
Or don't know, or choosing to not pay attention for whatever reasons, right? But her mom's side of the family is very warm and very loving. They're the ones that found her. And to see her, it was like she just fit into like a well-worn glove or something. Like she just slipped right into that family because they were so identical, not only in how they looked, but how they acted, how they smiled, how they laughed. Louise loves big families. She was raised in a small family, right? But she was always going over to the homes of friends that had big families. So to see her in a big, warm, loving family of genetically similar people was a really cool experience. And so that I got to experience that firsthand. And so I know quite a few of her biological relatives closely. A cousin who lived in LA, and I got to know him, and so that was really cool. And then with her dad, it was an unexpected thing, and it was really surprising, but really cool to see her just be brave about it. And we'd spoken about that before, about you need to seize the opportunity because you don't know how long that window is going to be open. And I think that's more what she's referencing about not seeing him again, because he is old and not well in health. And so I just love the fact that she seized the opportunity to do it, and we'll never have to look back and wonder what if, right? And to me, that's kind of what life is about seizing those moments, and not wondering about them and not worrying about them. Right. And so I was really proud of her that she did that with the support of her family, of her bio family. What did you call the mission?
Operation Daddy-O.
Operation Daddy-O.
We had a playlist. We had a whole, we were going to go get a beer and see the fall colors if we didn't see them. It was fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they made it fun. And we didn't want to upset him. That's the thing I want to say, is I didn't want to upset his life either. Like, it's pretty shocking to see me, I think, for him, because I look exactly like my biological mother. I mean, really, I think he was just very overwhelmed by that. Before we filmed it, my cousin didn't want to film right away. He kept looking at me and saying, "Oh my God, you're your mother," And I'm sure for him that's like a ghost coming back, because she died so young. She died so young, right? And so I think though, I thought this is it. And he kept saying it. He said several, and he kept holding my hand. I'd let go and then he'd hold my hand tighter. And he kept saying, we have closure, we have closure. And he needed it more than me. I mean, it sounds funny, but I felt like a whole weight was lifted off of me. I don't know whether I see him again or not, or I just feel like I just understand now. And I loved him. I didn't expect to love him and to find him charming, and to I don't know, there's something about him. I was like, well, yeah, he's my father. Like, I just knew, just looking at him, he just was familiar, and his hands looked like my hands, his skin color and the way he did his eyes looked like my son, and the way he stood would look like my son. It was just like, oh, that's my father. Even though I don't know this man, we instantly held hands, and I was like, this is my father. I just knew it was it's so hard to explain that to anybody. I don't know. I can explain it to you. You understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen you meet your father.
Yes.
It's trippy, right? And it grounds you. I think if we're talking to people that listen that aren't adopted, or to adoptees that are fearful of finding things or going down that path, for me, every step, even if it's been negative, has been grounding. Because I think knowing who we are, I mean, you have this from a whole group of people that you were not raised around, that's your culture. You have a cultural separation, right? So it's like, for us not to have that, and then to suddenly have pieces of it, you're like grounded. It's like, oh, it's like putting your feet on the grass when you touch the grass, and You feel more grounded. That's just meeting him. I was like lighter,
Yeah.
Not happy right away. I was really in a funk, but then lighter. Like I'm not angry anymore. I think I was holding some of it.
What I admired, I would say, in that experience, like just from an outsider looking in, was that you didn't need it to complete you. You didn't need it to heal you. You didn't need, like, you would have been okay to go get a beer and go look at the leaves. Like, and I think holding that experience loosely and not thinking that that's going to be the thing that fixes you as if you're something broken to be fixed.
Yes.
I think that's one of the things that made you walk through that really beautifully.
Thank you. That's a good line, by the way. I think you're right. But I do want to say, I'm kind of speaking from an older, we have a thing, the adoptee world coming out of the fog and all that. I'm on the backside of that. I'm 57. Could I have felt that way at 35? I don't know. Right? I don't know how I would have done in my 20s. Like, you do have to be ready for it. I knew I was okay with it. I knew I had the right people around me. If Bill was there, it would have been even better. If Jack were there, it would have been even better. But they didn't need, like, I was okay even if I had to just go do it. And I don't know that I would have always been like that. And I think that's part of it too, is just knowing you have to kind of get yourself in a place healthy, because you got to be healthy with this. We have to take care of ourselves. There's a lot of rejection out there. When he rejected me via email and all that, it hurt. I'd write back thinking, oh, something's wrong. He's not getting my letters, and you feel like a kid again, chasing. And it's a strange feeling to be rejected. Like, why doesn't his family want to know me? I still have that, right?
Yeah.
But then I'm like, they don't know me. It's not about me. It's about some other thing they're afraid of, or some other pain, or who knows, we don't, but it's hard that's an easy thing to say at my age, I guess I'm trying to say. And it's still not that easy.
Well, I think it's a testament to the work that you've done and how okay with yourself you've become, right?
Yeah. And Sarah was a big part that day too, because she texted me like, you can do this, you're good. And like, I knew she'd get it like right away. I was like, I had to tell her. She's one of the people I called because she's had to do these things too. And we'd spend hours on our ice cream truck talking about being adopted, but not really understanding stuff, but still talking about it. It still would come up, right? That's how we met. Oh, you're adopted? Me too. Instantly, like buddies.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you talk about adoption a lot in your house?
Do we? That's up to you.
It's more, I think, on a professional level because the podcast is such a huge part of her life, right? So, it's a frequent topic, but it's, and I'm always interested in the topic. I always liked psychology and like nature versus nurture and, identical twins separated at birth and stuff like that, right? So that part of it is really fascinating for me, even though I don't share the experience. It's still a really interesting topic. And I always want to know what's going on with, with the podcast and her live events. And
I probably say too much though. I mean, do you get annoying? I feel like I get annoying about it.
I feel like I get annoying. I feel like my kids have said to me, yeah, we know you're adopted.
Yeah, but I mean, I had that happen recently at something we were at, and someone goes, oh, you're bringing that into it again. I was like, oh God. First of all, it made me mad, but then it also was like, there's certain places you talk about and certain places you don't. And
I know, but when you're doing this kind of work, and I'm very new to this, my film was only released in 2023. You've got several more years under your belt than I do.
Just two, yeah.
But it is all consuming.
Yeah.
Like it really is, because you really are invested in this community. I don't think people really understand the work and the effort and the emotional weight of doing something like this. And I mean, we do it willingly and with joy and love and generosity in our hearts, like because we really believe in what we're doing.
Yeah.
But anyone can start a podcast, but not anyone can keep one going for
Yes.
as long as you have.
Yeah.
And it is a tremendous amount of work, and I'm learning that now.
Oh my gosh, I feel for you because you're doing a lot. You're doing 2 podcasts.
Yeah.
We, Sarah and I, if I didn't have Sarah, I wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
And I don't think she'd be doing it without me. Not to say but I think we're really good at creating together and having that kind of relationship. When we first started, we call each other after each interview, and it was like, oh my God, we'd be so engrossed in it, right? Like we're reading these. The thing with you brought up reading books, so we read a book every week. We don't read ahead, but we were just reading memoirs, and that's a little bit easier. But we were, we've read Primal Wound, The Journey of the Adopted Self, and horrible things. Georgia Tan about the baby thief. I mean, horrible stuff that just rips your heart out, and that's hard because we read it weekly. You can't run away from it because you have to film weekly, so you can't not read it. Like, I don't want to read that this week because it's heartbreaking. And then everybody's story, even though there's some fun in it, there's heartbreak in almost every story. And I think that's not what people see in the adoption world. They don't see it. They see it as a win-win and a joyful thing. And I think most stories of adoption, it starts with loss, and there's heartbreak in there. Even if there's been a decent adoption, there's heartbreak in there, right? And so we kind of got in a groove where we don't talk to each other after an interview anymore. We have 2 interviews on Saturdays, and we really are present, and we're with that interview. And then I go out and I go to the beach or do something. Sarah goes to the dog park, whatever we're both going to do. We kind of leave it at that and then regroup later, because if it's just your head is in it and you're with these people and you care, and then you get emails and then a lot of texts, and we get a lot of things, and then social media. But I have someone to balance it with, and so you have to watch that for yourself, because we can share that duty a little bit.
Yeah.
And I
think that's been one of the greatest things about making these connections with fellow adoptees that are creators in this space.
Yeah.
Because that's another level of, okay, we get it, and we can support each other and lift each other up in that.
Yeah, we have a great group. We have such a neat group of people, and if you ever need us, just the same. It's like, because we do have that luxury of having each other, and I don't think I'd be doing this without her. Well, I know, being an introvert, I probably wouldn't be doing this without her. Sarah brings it out in me, but that is a luxury, I think, having each other. We can always just go, and have a good laugh. We have a good laugh once in a while. We have some funny,
So, but this is not what you do for
No,
work. Like,
no.
although it
Doesn't pay the
probably
bill.
is very close to a part-time job at least.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I am an executive assistant at a digital startup bank. I used to be in the startup world, and I'm an EA for the senior team. That's what I do. Bill?
I am a remodeling project manager, so home remodeling project manager. I was a finished carpenter for many years, and then I became a project manager. And now I started an online business that helps homeowners plan and manage remodeling projects called Remodel Academy.
Remodel Academy. Okay,
Really cool.
So walk me through this, because I've renovated every house I've ever lived in.
Wow.
It is a whole thing. One of the most difficult things about remodeling your home is the trades showing up when they need to show up, doing what they need to do. My husband is also comes from a project management background.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what does that look like? Like, just if I were to hire you, what would
Basically, I teach people a process of basically the process of remodeling, right? So figuring out exactly what you want, why do you want it, what your budget is, really defining your project so you can get competitive bidding on an apples to apples basis, hiring and vetting contractors, scheduling the work, right? So depending on if you're going to be your own general contractor, or if you hire a general contractor or a design build company, it's one of the most complicated, expensive endeavors you could do, right? And people just kind of wade into it without any preparation or knowledge, kind of just hoping their contractor won't won't be a disaster, and hoping everything turns out well, and often it doesn't. But with a little bit of knowledge and preparation, it could. Right. So basically, I'm trying to share my knowledge with the world of remodeling project management.
That is a very
Yeah.
needed niche.
Yeah. I don't know about Canada, but 40 million Americans work on their homes every year. And I'm sure Canada's no different. Right. Everyone who's owned a home worked on it in some aspect or another. Big projects or small projects, there's so much thought that should go into it. And so I just help people think through that process and do it correctly.
Yeah, we had a couple who, I'll just give you a plug, who we know down in LA, and they did a big remodel, and they're like, he saved us thousands. Because first of all, Bill was like, don't sign that open-ended contract. And then when they weren't performing he's like, here you go. These are the words you call your builder. You say there. And one guy was like, how do you know this? Why are you they don't like it. Some of the contractors, good contractors, don't mind.
Yeah.
He actually wants to help good contractors, but
yeah. If the people I help, once they interact with the contractors are just blown away with how knowledgeable and prepared they are, even though it doesn't seem like, to me, only a small bit of knowledge goes a long ways. And a small amount of knowledge can save thousands of dollars and lots of stress and lots of time. And everyone I talk to about their remodeling experiences, something went wrong every time.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my passion project and my opus of sharing my knowledge with the world.
And he's a gifted builder. He built our house here.
Did you build the house?
I didn't build it, but I remodeled it.
Remodeled himself during COVID by himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my passion.
Well, finishing carpentry is a you got to be good at it,
because it's an art form for sure.
His portfolio, you should see the stuff he's done, like really high end, beautiful work. Yeah, that's why he's the builder Bill. That's what my friends call him.
I love it. How long have you been doing the academy for?
I've been working on it for several years and kind of just building it.
Yeah.
And now I'm kind of in the phase now where I'm starting to do you market it, right? So I built a whole sound studio in my garage. So I'm working on my own YouTube channel, podcasting, etc., just to start marketing it. So I've got various digital products, coaching programs, courses, etc. And so that's all at www.remodel.academy. That's where you can find me for that. I love helping people, and it's very rewarding and satisfying, kind of like the feeling that Louise gets from helping adoptees.
He loves it.
So I like to help homeowners.
Well, so first of all, I'll put everything in the show notes. So
cool.
Make sure we will put all the links to that in the show notes. But I follow you on social media. I don't know if you know that or not.
The builder Bill.
Yeah. But you said you posted something, and it was like, it wasn't you who said it. It was a quote, but it was like, find something that you're passionate about.
Oh, Pablo Picasso.
Yes. The purpose of life is to find your gift. The meaning of life is to give it away.
Yeah.
Pablo Picasso, right? Isn't that
Pablo Picasso? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That is so good. So here you both are operating in your gifts.
Yeah.
Just loving the world around you.
Trying to still keep it together.
Right?
Yeah, the reason it took him so long too is like working full time, like me. We both work full time, and it's like, you can only do so much, right? You also have to go out and see friends and do things, hear music.
And I've been one man show, like as what they call a solopreneur, if you've heard that term. Right? So like I'm, IT and product development and marketing and hardware or software, like it's everything. But I like that. I like being able to know everything and develop it myself, and so it's very much a manifestation of me.
It is.
Right? That's why I kind of call it my opus, which is, it's kind of my life's work, which now I'm trying to give to the world. And so our two things are very similar, actually.
Yeah.
Adoption, the making of me, and Remodel Academy are very similar because it's what we're passionate about and what we're sharing with the world altruistically. So yes, it would be nice to be able to make a living doing this, but that's not the first purpose.
No.
The first purpose is to be
You have
able
to
to help
care.
people and share your knowledge and leave the world a better place.
Yeah.
And same with you, by the way, right? The three of us.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you, but when I am creating, I don't know if I feel more joy than I do when I'm
Yeah.
creating.
You're not working. You know what's funny is last night I was thinking about how we were going to have this interview today, and I was uploading some stuff. Sarah and I have different duties, and I was doing my stuff, uploading the things I upload. It doesn't even feel like work. Because like someone texted me, oh, what are you doing? It's like dinner time, whatever. I'm like uploading this. Oh, sorry, you have to work. I'm like, oh no, this isn't work. This is the other stuff. Like work
Yeah.
is work, right? This is
Yeah.
it's just what we do. It doesn't feel like work if you love it, and it's
Yeah.
just we need more hours and time
Yes, exactly. And money.
and
Yeah.
money.
And money. You
That
always
would
need
be
more money for these
amazing.
projects. It's
I would-
true.
And can I give a little plug? We're going to see you in
Please.
Austin, Texas. So we're having another live event, Adoption: The Making of Me, live event, live podcast. We'll have Kristal Parke's documentary, Because She's Adopted, is starting off the Friday night, kicking it off. We did that in DC, and it was awesome. So this is so amazing. And Liz DeBetta will perform Unmothered, a one-woman show you've seen it. I think that actually, he's now seen your documentary and seen Liz's show. Give Liz a little plug there. Was a big thing for someone who's not adopted to see.
Yeah.
And go, oh, wow, that's how because she's amazing. And then we have our live podcast and an amazing panel, Damon Davis. But
Yeah, it's such a great event. I can't wait for it. I am looking forward to it.
Yes.
It is such an honor to just be in community with you and to be involved in events like these. It truly is such an honor.
an
I
honor.
never thought, in 2020 when I started listening, or 2021 when I started listening to your podcast, that I would ever have the opportunity to know you, let alone work alongside you and be in this community together.
We feel the same way about you and other people too. And all of us are the same when we meet each other. We're like, oh no, I can't believe it.
I know, like I'm talking to a famous documentarian. That's pretty cool.
It is cool. She has
your
awards
your documentary was great.
Yeah.
Just great. Just loved it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
funny,
I
too.
appreciate
You love the
that.
funny.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Really well done. Really well
Thank
done.
you. Thank you. Yeah, I know sometimes I think some people think that, like I say, I did a documentary, and they think it's going to be this like really low budget.
Yeah.
And it was low budget compared to like what some of these,
Of course.
documentaries are. But I think people are surprised that it's not just me with an iPhone holding up like
It's quite, it's well made. It is a very good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Like,
Thank you.
everyone is impressed by it. I mean, I watched a whole theater of adopted people who are the most critical of an adoptee. Everyone loved it.
I mean, that experience watching was so profound for me. I have not had I hadn't had an experience like that before, and I haven't had an experience like that since. And yeah, it was. Usually I put headphones on and I won't watch it. Like I'll be in the room, but I'll just put music on because it's hard to watch yourself. And I've seen it a number of times. I could not keep the headphones on because I was so just taken by the energy in the room and just it being able to experience that with
people, you could hear a pin drop and the people gasp like everybody at the same time. And we're all adopted, and it was like so cool to watch it with other adopted people because I watched it alone in the living room. I felt the same way as you watching it, like felt so bonding. I don't know. It's like really cool. I can't wait to do it again. So
yeah, I know. I'm really looking forward to it too. I really appreciate the both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the way that you're contributing to this world. Thank you for being just such lovely, lovely people. And Louise, thank you for making such a difference in my life and in my adoptee journey. And just, I know that I can speak for everyone that knows you, that you are such a gem in this community.
Thank you.
Yeah, we
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you.
And it goes to you too. I really feel that way. Thank you. This has been lovely, and thanks for having Bill.
There is a need for partners of adoptees to have a conversation about what supporting an adoptee can look like.
It's a huge thing that's
Yeah.
left out of it, right? You're the person closest to the adoptee, and kind of taking all the stuff that comes with it. He didn't even get into the stuff that comes with it.
Crash course with adoptees.
Yeah.
He didn't even get into. I was like, oh God, what is he going to bring up?
Well, is there anything we missed that you'd like to bring up?
No. It's a joy to be married to me.
I would have to say
I think Stuart and Bill are special and wonderful.
Oh,
I think so too. So with that said, Louise, what would you say that Bill has done or does that has helped you to feel the most supported as an adoptee?
I think what you said, you actually said it, is validating me. Like having this podcast when we started it, there was never like, oh God, what are you getting into? Or what are you doing? Or, oh, you're going to talk about that again. I mean, because I was going through it. I was, reading every week the hardest books, coming out of the fog, learning about the adoptee community. People, by the way, were so gracious to us, like Damon Davis. I think about it, Haley. There was a lot of people who were very kind to us when we were like so new and like bumping along, saying things. And and every week I was like, oh my God, I went into a massive depression, right? I mean, coming out of the fogs, for those who haven't known what that is or gone through it, it's just a metaphor we use, but it's a true feeling of like, whoa, what the heck with my life, right? And so there'd be a lot of nights I'd be like, he wasn't used to this. We just moved to a new house. We left Los Angeles. I'm away from my friends and away from my son. And all of a sudden I'm like crying, on the couch or sitting in the front chair out on the porch, just going, oh my gosh. And he had to hear about it all. And I think the biggest support was just standing by me and not judging me about it or saying, get over this, or what's the big deal, or who cares? What do you need to know all this for? You have a great family, move on, all these things. He didn't do any of that. It was all very much like, if you need to go through this, I'm here, and just the validation. And I think that's the hardest thing, is when people don't have that in their lives. It's very lonely.
Yeah.
And so I feel very blessed to have that.
Yeah.
So thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. Love you.
Aw, good job, Bill.
Good
job. Thank you for being here, and thank you everyone for listening to the Because She's Adopted podcast. You can find us on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, and we will see you next time.
See you next time.
Okay, see you next time.